Oh, I didn't know if we were going to start. I was waiting for you to get ready.
I was ready
for you.
I was waiting. You usually key us in. Good morning.
I heard the countdown, and I'm saying, this guy's he's not focused. He walked in late, trying to get catch, putting his password in and doing all these things. Hey, welcome to BCB Live. We're the safest station in the nation. You have Drive Safe Dave, Sir Rick, producer here, talking to you Drive Safe about all sorts of things, focused on safety, because that's what drives this country. Safety has to be it has to be what we all think about out there on the road, inside the warehouse, inside the office. It just doesn't matter. Drive Safe Dave, even when you're doing things you shouldn't be doing, you should be thinking about safety first.
Usually when you aren't doing things you're supposed to be doing, you aren't thinking about safety, right? You're running a little bit quicker than you should be. You're hiding behind things.
I don't live on that side of the life. You know what? Everything I do is pretty much
the getaway car usually doesn't stop at stop signs. I'm just saying. There are times, and being seen in the bright yellow, usually not trying to rob a bank in a bright yellow shirt.
Now you got to say this. How about them Cowboys?
Uh-oh.
Cowboys come back and they win the game. Drive Safe Dave against the team that went to Super Bowl. Our Cowboys 1-1. A much needed victory too. Out without the quarterback. That defense played some mean ball. Congrats to those Dallas Cowboys. You know what? We know that is America's team. So for most of you out there, you're like saying, heck yeah, man.
Celebrate
How about
that.
Them Cowboys?
Hey, you know what? Kicking it. It was a close win, but we'll take the
win.
We'll take the
it
W.
Shows up with the, in other news, you have Mr. Aaron Judge. I don't know if you're following that or not. On the verge of breaking the American League home run record.
I saw
He's
that.
got he hit 2 yesterday. Here's the deal though, that we haven't seen this. I don't even know when the last time is, and producer, maybe you can look that up. But on the verge of possibly winning the Triple Crown. He's home run. He's got the home run RBIs sewed up.
Oh yeah.
He's batting a .316. 2 people up ahead of him batting a .317.
Couple more homers.
Real good chance,
more
of hitting that, of taking that Triple Crown. Something I can't think
of. How many games left?
Probably about 15, 12, 15.
Yeah, I mean.
We're hitting down to the stretch, right?
Yeah.
So that would love to see that side here. He's going to finish up
by the way,
here in Texas.
By the way,
did you know that?
No, I did not.
The game, the Yankees are supposed to open up right here at home in Arlington. That was pushed out with
walking.
Yeah, and so they finished the season here.
Wow.
In what seemed to be a game that wasn't going to mean anything, with the Yankees at the time destroying everybody, have came back to their senses a little bit. Not that impressive of a team anymore, but playing the Rangers, a team that's been out of it since week 2.
First game of the season. This is the first game of the season.
Who has the Triple Crown? Who do we have?
Okay, so
American League.
Judge is now tied for second on his batting average, like you said, .316. Xander Bogaerts is who he's tied with, and then Luis Arias with Minnesota's .317.
Who was the last person to win the Triple Crown?
I'm still working on that one. I was trying to
come
find out
on.
Oh my
Come
God!
on.
Google.
That's all you had to type in. Last person to win Triple Crown. You know what, I'm 54 years old, or 52 years old, I'm sorry. I'll be 53, but I must have a young soul because I can think like a youngster. I'm not scared of technology. I jump in and out of this thing. That's what I do.
Is that what?
I am a technology
Is that why you don't wear socks when you
junkie.
shoot?
I do have. Did you come with the answer?
Yeah, I got it. Miguel Cabrera did it in 2012.
Oh,
okay.
He was the first person to do it in more than 40 years.
Wow. So again, we as America, we're going to root for Aaron Judge on that. But Drive Safe Dave, let's take a look a little bit at some freight volumes that are going on today. So here we come. It's a Monday, right? We're going in and measuring what happened last week. We had the big jump in volume. Dave, I think a lot of that volume was really increased on the fear of perhaps a rail strike.
Absolutely.
Because we saw it start coming back down to that 12,200 mark. Now, it is still much better than it's been in years past. And for those of you that watch the show, look, at the end of the day, here's normally where the volume is hanging out right around here. We're significantly higher than what we normally are. But Dave, the volume is coming down and it begins to shrink, hitting that 12,000 mark. going into a fourth quarter that, we're really not sure what's going to happen on the peak season, going on the verge of FedEx announcing a big blunder in the reporting in which they have made an adjustment about $500 million.
Yeah, that's a small number, 500 million. But you know what? We just hope that that fourth peak season offers up way more freight than what their projections are.
Yeah, well, now the fuel price is going down. That does help, right?
Absolutely.
That helps us. Let me tell you something. We here in America, we love it when our fuel prices are much cheaper. We love it. Gives us a reason to go and charge something else to it, because when fuel was as high as it wasn't as good. Now we're going to go back and we're going to look at a couple of things, but we follow the diesel prices, Drive Safe Dave,
yes,
on that. So we look at the contracted rates kind of going down a little bit. We have a lot of shippers continuing to want to go out and renegotiate rates. Now I don't think it can go much lower than it is right now. Right. Only because there's only a certain amount of carriers that have all the trailers, that have all the trucks that they have right now. We continue to, nobody's getting a ton of extra trucks in. Just not happening.
Right.
So it's not going to happen the rest of this year and probably into next year. Drive Safe, we see rates kind of hanging steady at that $1.90. And here we go right here. Look at the fuel prices. Let's go back to a year. We saw a year ago rates were way high. Fuel was cheap all the way down here at $3.30, $3.35. The war happened. Rates went up, but Dave, we're kind of under for the first time the rates when the war started. So we were at $5.14 back then, down to $4.97 a gallon today at the pump.
Yeah, and I saw a report on the futures going into next week and out. It does look like it's declining. It does look like the prices are going to continue to go down at least over the next 30 days.
Yeah, John Kingston from Freightways, he did a good, talked about last week, I think it was last Thursday or Friday, in an article, talked about for the first time we've seen those futures on that ultra whatever that, ULSD, ultra something, diesel pricing continue to fall down, that rack price going down. I should have had the rack pricing on here. I don't have it on here. But Dave, it is something we see that decrease in fuel. But a lot of people, just a week before was talking about going into fourth quarter, how we expect that rate to go up.
Well, I can tell you right now.
A week later, it's on the way down.
Yeah. And I think what they're talking a little bit about is the tightening that's going to happen overseas more than anything else, where the Russians have cut off all of the energy to the west, to all the rest of Europe, which is going to tighten the screws all over the world. I mean,
USSR.
It's not the United. It is not the Union of Soviet Socialist Republic anymore. The CCCP is what we used to like to call it. But the Russian Federation has made it very difficult. Putin and his group have made it very difficult on the West by cutting off. But we're going to see where it goes. We always tend to figure it out. The prices may go up over there, and if they go up over there, I can't seem to think that they won't be affected here.
Yeah. Hey, Drive Safe. We're going to go to a break. We're going to come back out of break, and we're going to have Rob Bussey with BWS Logistics joining us today. Yep. Rob's got a lot of experience on that intermodal, on that drayage. As half their business is done with that intermodal side of the business. It'll be neat to talk a little bit, Drive Safe, about what he's seen in some of the changes in some of the shipping patterns, the shipping habits, and even how that worried, the rail, how that made some, a lot of people worried probably the end of last week.
And by the way, Rick, you're talking about, this isn't a done deal yet. Y'all, the union hasn't ratified it yet.
It's a done deal.
Okay, Rick's calling it done deal. Don't even go vote. We got it right here, Sir Rick.
It's a done deal. I mean, are you really going to go out there and try to make that? Go ahead, try to make that a story. Go ahead. And in breaking news, this just in off that rail. Drive Safe, what do you got for us?
Hey, I'm just going to say the union has not its members have not ratified it. In fact, there is some disgruntling, and I've read as recently as 60% don't think that they like the ruling.
Okay, I disagree with you, Trey. So let's get some odds out here. This is, again, breaking news,
All right, here's
folks
the
out
odds.
there. What are
Here
the
it is.
odds that this rail thing doesn't? Because we had we
just
interrupted a big story for this.
I was trying to offer some
ahead.
drama. I was trying to
1%?
feed in.
Is it over 1%?
No, it's going to be. I'm going to say it's probably a 56, 44%.
Oh my God! Dude, you've just invalidated anything that we've stood for at this station right now. We'll be back in 60 seconds with some more news. True or false, we don't know, but we'll be back in 60 seconds with Rob. Welcome back to BCB Live. We're the safest station in the nation. Before we introduce our next guest, Drive Safe, you got any more breaking news for us?
No, I'm going to play it cool over here. I'm going to play it. I would just look good over here.
I like that. I'm going to play it cool. Hey, Drive Safe, do an introduction of our next guest, please.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a special guest coming in. Is he here?
Rob?
Rob, are you here?
I'm here.
Hey, how you doing, Rob?
I mean, I'm not in Texas, but I'm here with you on.
So where is
BCB
here?
Live.
Where is here for you?
I'm in Chicago, and our team did not win last night, so.
No, that's okay.
Y'all didn't.
I didn't realize it was.
You know what? He owns your team, Green Bay. You know they
he sure
own your
does.
team.
I mean, I think he's 26-5 in his, or 21. I don't know. He does own us, so I'll give you that.
Yeah. Yeah,
All right.
Well, hey, Rob. So do us a little favor. Do us a little bit. Tell us a little bit about yourself and who you work for and how long have you been doing it?
Okay, so I work for a company called BWS Logistics. We are a 3PL. I've been here since 2000, just over 2 years. I have a long history in transportation, though. I worked for a company that produces shows for 12 years before that called GES. When COVID happened, that's kind of folks forced me to pivot a little bit into another realm of things. But I mean, I've been doing transportation since basically the mid 80s. Started with the airlines, went into freight forwarding, and then on from there. But I'm happy to be here with this company. It's a great company. We're growing at a very high trajectory from when I started, and we're doing great.
I got a real quick question before we move too far, Rob, and I just want to ask. I don't want to jump too far in it. Number one, how did you hear a little bit? Because I've got a little feeling you've known a little bit about BCB Live over the last couple of months, right?
Yeah, I have, and I enjoy watching, especially because I'm a America's Funniest Videos fan, to watch your videos at the end that where you guys talk about the safety things, because it's very practical and there's some great points in there. There's so many obvious things that people should be doing that they don't do.
And I just wanted to know, I personally,
he's trying to toot his own horn, and you know what?
I'm not either, Rob. I'm just saying.
Actually, I saw a picture of you with a St. Louis Cardinals jersey on one time, and I said, I got to check these guys out. Wasn't that you?
Oh, that's Buckle Up Bob.
That is Bob.
That is Buckle Up Bob.
Okay, somebody was on there with a Cardinals jersey, and
that's Buckle Up Bob.
Cardinals
He's our
fan.
resident safety expert, and he loves those Cardinals, man. Love them.
Yeah, so I knew it was somebody on your show had that anyway, but yeah, you had a friend of mine on, Raquel Packett's, and
oh yeah,
that's kind of when I started following you guys, and she does a great job.
Hey, talk to us a little bit about BWS. First of all, what's that stand for? BCB's Be Safe, Communicate If You Can, Be On Time. BWS is?
Stands for Bringing Winning Service. When we started out, we were very heavily involved, and we still are, in the beverage industry, which stood for beer, wine, and spirits. We do so many more commodities though that this March we rebranded. It's still BWS. It's just changed to Bringing Winning Service. And as I said, we handle so many different commodities that we didn't want to pigeonhole ourselves. And as a sales guy that I am, it was I won't say it was a little bit of a roadblock, but when I would finally get an introduction into a door for a customer, they'd be like, you're a great guy, we really like you, but we have nothing to do with the beverage industry. And I would say, hold on a second, we do more than that. So it just made more sense. Our logo used to be literally a beer, a glass of wine, and then a martini glass, which was a good logo.
You know what? Heck of a logo. I'll be honest with you. Probably one of the better logos that's out there. So business. Let's talk a little bit about last year. We had COVID last year. You're talking about you having to pivot, but you as a business at BWS, did you have to pivot as well? Did you go from a truckload and did some of your freight volumes shift around?
Yeah, we were doing more of the truckload and whatnot, and with the crazy times of drayage, we were already doing a lot of that, but we got way more into it, and we've really become as a company experts. I mean, when I started here, I didn't know the term street turn. I didn't really know what that was, and so I mean, our whole team is just very into drayage, both including long haul dray, short haul dray, cross stock, slip sheet, clamp lifts. We do it all. So we're very involved with that. And again, we do it for the ports as well as for most of the rail ramps. But what we do is we try to put forth a problem-solving thing for a lot of the big international forwarders and some of our other customers, where we can manage the process for you, where we have a stable of 17 different people in a given port, and we got 5 of those that are our top performers, and we just, like I said, we manage the process for you and take that problem off your plate.
Hey, so I don't think I need to go back to last year. Let's just go back to, say, first quarter. What are challenges today, whether it's moving containers today versus that first quarter? What have you seen?
I mean, there's still, depending on the port you're talking about. First quarter, it seems to be a little bit more difficult, and with chassis for some of the locations, it seems to loosen up a little bit. I'm not saying the job is easy by any means. There's still challenges every day, and we do stuff. We do gen sets, which are with the reefers. So we do a lot of those. We do hazmat loads. We also do export loads, where we'll pick up the empty, go fill it up somewhere, and then drop it back at the port. So if you can think of something that can go wrong, it'll go wrong. Whether it be a hold on something that you planned on getting, trying to make sure it was cleared, you'll get there, and there could be a damage to a chassis. There could be. It's never easy, and I use this line for a lot of things. If it was easy, they wouldn't need us. So,
did you, Rob? I'm just going to ask: have you noticed any? So right now, I'm just curious. The service that the rail is providing across the country is less than desired, right? In your experience, is what's going on right now? Their on-time service is down dramatically over the last year.
It seems to be there are some backups and some delays. You plan on a certain time for it to be there, and you just have to keep watching for the arrivals, and they do seem to get pushed back. But conversely, I will say that I see a lot more of the containers that have gone from just port pickups to where they are trying to get them closer to where the final delivery is, so that it doesn't turn into a cross dock. For example, something may come into Long Beach, and they may put it on the rail to Edgerton near Kansas City because it's going to a nearby location. So they are trying to get it to the final destination a little bit more, and that's one of the things I've seen. But yeah, there's definitely some delays. There always is.
You and I were speaking before we got onto the show, and I think drayage plays a big role in the inventories we're seeing across this country right now. Give me a little feedback on, when we talk inventory, we talk these warehouses at capacity, because your draymen, those folks that are delivering those boxes for you, I mean, they're the ones that are facing these challenges, maybe long detention times, maybe struggle, longer unload times. Do you see inventory still as high as we've ever seen it across the country?
Well, I think I worked for a company a long time ago, and one of the owners would tell me that when a recession is coming, you'll see warehousing go up, and it's kind of been true with that, combined with the overordering that happened post COVID. There are still a lot of warehouses full. I think there will be some sell-offs from some of the stuff that's been overbought. That's just packing these warehouses. I think the square footage costs are going up. I've got a customer whose stores in the Santa Rosa area, who's the square footage price there is so great. We're actually going to move multiple loads to a warehouse in Nevada just because it's cheaper there. So I think there's still a lot of these places are still busting at the seams, but we have great relationships with with the warehouses that we work with, and we communicate extremely well so that they know when we're going to show up for our deliveries, and that helps us avoid any real lengthy delays. But I mean, the port delays are going to be there. We had the AB5 and everything else going on, and all those struggles. But I mean, we work through it. We roll with it.
Hold on a second. You brought up AB5. Are you seeing any challenge with AB5 out in California then since the announcement of that?
I don't think it's right now, but I think it is going to kind of rear its ugly head a little more when the deadline comes, where some of these guys can't utilize trucks that they were using in the past because of the age of them or because of the ruling and whatnot. So, I mean, we're not having any trouble right now. As a matter of fact, some of these carriers that were some of our partners who were maybe having some higher rates before are coming to us now saying, hey, what do you got out here? What do you got out here? So we're not seeing a lot of that right now. It was definitely a challenge both in Long Beach and Oakland when that happened.
And I don't know. I was also going to ask you, because I've actually been to some of the rails. In January 1st, they got some new CARB rules coming into effect also out in California. If I'm not mistaken, they've also got some come out there and affect some of the equipment that's already out there working. Have you heard any rumblings about that, especially a lot of those guys that are going to be directly affected by those new CARB rules?
Yeah, it has to do with sometimes the age too of the engine, and one of the guys that we were talking to just last week in Los Angeles, who also has a drayage company in Savannah, he's going to shift some of the equipment that he can no longer use in California, especially because their rules are stronger than anyone's, to another location.
Wow. Are there? And here we're going, and here we are, BCB. But let's talk a little bit about safety. Are there any different safety factors or problems that you see in drayage as opposed to just regular truckload?
You definitely have to know what you're hauling. You have to know the weight of what you're hauling, and sometimes you have to know where the weight's at on there as far as the axles, as you guys know. So there's not a lot of difference there, but you definitely want to make sure you know what you're hauling and the weight of it. That's really the only difference. The other difference, I guess, is if you're hauling a live load, you've actually loaded that truck and you know where you put the straps or the bars and whatever else. But when you're hauling a sealed container, it's a little bit of an unknown. So you have to kind of try to know that stuff up front, and maybe hit a scale to find out where the heavy spots are.
And as a 3PL company, how does safety incorporated into what you do and when you communicate with your drivers out there and the people that you do business with?
Even though we don't have a dock, and I don't, we communicate that super well through our clients to find out exactly what it needs. We'll get pictures if it's on wheels. We'll let them know. We have a lot of policies in place for our customers where they actually have to send us pictures. We ask for pictures. I recommend, for example, even from an import standpoint, when you open it, if you crack a door open on a container, document it. Take a picture of it. What's it look like when you open it? Then you process it. But we do a lot of education with our drivers. We document things on our rate cons or load tenders, you want to call them, to let them know what is required and what we need them to do, so that it is safer. For example, if you're handling a lumber load that's super heavy, you may only put 3 bundles on that truck and it maxes it out. And you can't put it all the way to the nose because of, the balance of the trailer. So you have to put a few straps 10 feet in, then you put your product in, then you put a few more straps behind it, so it kind of balances it out. But it's all about keeping the communication open and educating the drivers and your dispatchers as to what is required. And again, what are you hauling? What's the commodity? We do that, and if we're going to post something on any of the boards, we also put that all in there too, so that all the stuff is known up front for what the requirements are. But we even teach. I mean, I'm old school, so I mean, something as simple as shrink wrapping all the way to the bottom of the skid. Some people just, oh yeah, that's a good idea. We don't do that. They'll shrink wrap all the boxes, but if it's not attached to the skid, all the product can slide off back and forth. So just simple things like that. And again, straps and E-track, load bars, all that stuff. We try to educate them and dictate or communicate to them. We don't dictate to them, but we communicate to them what our needs are, what our requirements are. And it's usually both an extension of what our customers advise us of, and it's also our expertise to know what's going to need to be done to keep that product and the driver and the truck safe.
Gotcha. Rob, I try to dictate to him all the time, but it doesn't do any good. So it probably wouldn't work anyway, just so you know. Hey.
Oh, well, drivers are going to be drivers too. So I tell you, we can tell them everything we need them to do, but sometimes trying to get even a signature on a POD is a challenge. But we try. We keep trying.
Rob, you have an operations background, I can tell off of just talking to you. How has that helped you become a better salesman?
Well, I think it gives people comfort to know that the person they're dealing with isn't just someone who's going to give them some promises. It's someone who's been there, someone who's worked every possible shift that there is, someone who's loaded trucks. I started off on a forklift back in, we're in college and Christmas and summer breaks working on a forklift at United Airlines Cargo. So I think just knowing as much as I do about the various all of the various modes of transportation, it's a level. Hopefully, it puts forth a level of confidence to them that I do know what I'm doing, and that helps. And we try to share all that knowledge within our team as well. So we do a meeting in the morning and in the afternoon with all of our employees, and it looks like the Brady Bunch times 4 with our little boxes on the screen. But it's all about sharing information and knowledge, and I think that's what's helped me in my sales. And plus, I'm just a regular person. I'm not trying to put on any kind of a show. I'm not, honesty has always been my thing. Integrity, two things you can never take away from me is my integrity and my knowledge.
So in talking to your customers and being in sales, and you're talking instead of the operational side, but in the sales side, how has it changed recently, or if it hasn't changed recently, in some of the needs or wants or desires of the customer that surprised you as it was a while back? Are there new things that they want, or are they always the same?
No, it's not really. I mean, I think that when things get easier, like being a 3PL, the easier it is for people to do, maybe either on their own or through some of the people that they've used in the past. Sometimes you become the outlet person who, you're the home run guy there, or the guy to throw the long pass to, because you're a little desperate mode. I think things are less desperate right now. I think they have settled down a little bit. So I think service and communication is king right now, and that's one of the things we really focus on at BWS Logistics. We're very into proactive communication. Even if there's bad news to give someone, we try to give that to them, because as an old retired guy from GES told me a long time ago, bad news does not get better with age. So
I'll tell you what, Rob, man, we do appreciate you coming on. Before you get out of here, before you take off, we always ask our guests to state their name, who they're with, and that you're watching BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. Can you do that for us?
I sure can. This is Rob Bussey with BWS Logistics, coming to you from Chicago, Illinois, and you're listening to BCB Live, the safest station in the nation, and you're watching it too. You're not just listening.
Hey, Rob, we appreciate you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you guys for having me on. I appreciate it very much.
Oh, no, it's our pleasure. Hey, Rob, if somebody needs to get a hold of you, the best way is?
You can send me an email at r.bussey, B-U-S-S-E-Y, at bws-logistics.com.
All right, everybody. You heard it there. Hey, Rob, thank you so much for all that you do, buddy. Appreciate it.
All right, have a great day. Thanks very much for having me on here.
Yes, sir. So drive safe,
Cardinals.
Dave. We hear again, somebody else in that intermodal talking about some of the a little bit of service things, some changes through last year, and even some of that, how that port has changed, meaning that, California was backed up and people figure things out. I'm going to tell you something. You give people enough time, they're going to find another way to ship that freight, another location to ship that freight. All of a sudden today, California isn't what California normally is, right? They're not seeing the volume. However, these other folks are all still seeing perhaps record volume.
Record volumes. And I think I was reading on a report, on an article or something that said that even in California, they still shipped it in. They shipped it in early just in case they was going to have these long lines, and now the lines aren't very long, so they actually got it in a little earlier than anticipated, and that might be some of the reasons why they're down a little bit.
And it's always good, too, to hear about that safety side from Rob there, these other industries that aren't just in that asset side that are dealing with the assets. So you hear about the chassis, you hear about the draymen, their trucks, a lot of things. And Dave, I'm going to say, it's really going to change out there in California between CARB, between, AB5,
yeah.
Between all of this, it's going to make a difference somehow.
Big challenge.
I'm curious to see how they shake it out. I mean, and then all-electric vehicles coming soon, right? Coming soon to a theater
2029 or something like that, or I can't
insane.
remember the day. That's crazy.
So here we go. So we have Buckle Up Bob, our safety expert, coming up next. Going to talk a little bit about safety, all right here on BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. You're watching BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. BCB Live covers freight. Here we are now at 21% of record freight being rejected. News down in Texas. We're going to talk a little bit about this. We had another $1.5 million seizure. If ever there's a time to do a pre or post trip, it's if you're doing something wrong. Weather, traffic.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to some traffic and weather with Buckle Up Bob. You can kind of see where the visibility can be compromised a little bit. Again, right where that rain is.
And most importantly, safety. One of the things that we must do is make sure that safety is the number one thing that we focus on.
Going into an intersection, yellow is not the way. That's to clear an intersection, not to enter an intersection.
Tune in weekdays from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. Central Standard Time. You can watch BCB Live through LinkedIn, YouTube, or Facebook. So what are you waiting for? Subscribe today and follow BCB Live.
That's a little blurry. That's better. So, what do you think about the freight market on Sonar?
That's a ridiculous question.
False. It's high. Really high.
Well, that's debatable. There's two ways you can look at it, Dover.
Fact. The market is high. Freight, weight, rate, soulmate.
The freight market is... Wait a minute. What are you doing? What's going on here?
Earlier today, I went shopping for a new piece of wardrobe like someone else. $32. All I needed was a newspaper. That was another $1. Perfect. $33 total. I wanted to make a statement and start a trend. Look at me. You talking to me? I don't think you're talking to me. Watch out, buddy. I'll give you a left. I'll give you a right. Bam, bam. Oh! Champ right here. Everything's okay here. No looking. Oh, perfect. High vis, long sleeve, extra large. He is so gonna hate me.
You know what? Imitation, Dave, is the most sincere form of flattery. So, thank you, my brother. Identity theft, it's not a joke. Millions of families suffer every year.
Kendra?
Oh, that's funny. Wait a minute. Kendra! All right, welcome back to BCB Live, the safest station in the nation, joined by none other than the backup,
the pinch hitter.
double check, the pinch hitter, player be named later, double check Dale Kellen, our expert, not as expert as the other expert, but kind of an expert.
One of the field of experts that we employ here at BCB Live. We make sure that we have a team of valued and endeared experts to bring you the safety message of the day.
With lots of history in transportation and trucking and safety and all that stuff. Today we're going to talk a little bit about brake checking, tailgating, following too close, because they all kind of go hand in hand. And we've been talking about it a lot the last 3 weeks or so. And unfortunately, we got a couple great videos to learn from where we see tailgating and then that brake checking and how fast it happens. And so how important that is that when we talk about the following distance, that 1 second, the reaction time, what it is, you're going to see how quickly it ends here.
Yeah, and as we're playing the video here, you're going to see some of these videos here of following too close as you can see that vehicle in front of you with the improper space. And here we go right now. The first one you see, double check, is, it appears we're going 56, 57 miles an hour.
Yep. We're less than a second away. The reaction time with brake lag and everything else, it's just not enough there. I mean, you just got to back out, get out of that person's bubble and create that space.
Yeah, and while nothing happened right here, you're going to see later on how it just doesn't take long for something, when something does happen, that you really have no choice. It does take a second to have that reaction time on that. And again, drive safe. We talked about that earlier today. We're going uphill. We're going 55 miles an hour. We still have to have that space, right?
Yeah, I mean, you can find yourself, if traveling down the road, you can find yourself following these slow vehicles. Look, you've got somebody pulling a camper and also a toy hauler here along with a vehicle behind. So there's going to be added weight, and it's going to be make it difficult. You're going to find yourself catching up. Back off, give the space necessary, and move over when you can.
We're going through a city here, pretty heavy traffic, lots of lanes of traffic. Always important to have that space there because we see so many crazy four-wheelers and even sometimes big trucks changing lanes quickly, not using signals. And again, if we don't have that following distance, we get ourselves in a bad situation in a hurry.
Yeah, and you'll notice you're in a metropolitan area and you have a lot of lanes of traffic. You have the flyovers there, as you can see. So you definitely know you're in a built-up area. And when you're in, it doesn't matter really what lane of traffic you're in, but especially the right-hand lane like this, you have an egress and an ingress right here quickly. It can change your speed. You've got to give yourself the space necessary to succeed.
Another one here, more of the same. You know, one thing about this is we see the debris laying along that shoulder right there. You know, when we get this close, we don't have that big picture. We can't see what's happening. And you know, a couple of cones in the shoulder. What happens if one of those cones is in that driver's lane and he has to change lanes suddenly or does a hard brake because of it? We just have to allow ourselves the space, the room, because things change. Everything changes out there from mile to mile, foot to foot. So we just got to have that space there. You know, great job by driver here, you know, situational awareness. I mean, just big picture, sees what's happening with the four-wheeler, the signal's coming on, and so he backs off a little bit. Yeah, we have a little bit of a harsh brake here, but I'll take that because that four-wheeler cuts all the way across from his lane to make that corner. Great job by the driver. Great situational awareness, defensive driving. And here's when we're going to talk about, you know, how quickly it happens with the brake check, the tailgating. And, you know, we see this pickup go past. There we see the brake check, and that pickup has no place to go, cuts this truck off, and, you know, and actually runs into the truck as he's trying to avoid running into the back of the other person. And so, again, brake checking is illegal in just about every state. Tailgating is illegal in every state. Folks, practice that safe driving habit so you don't see yourself in this type of situation.
Here we are. We don't know what transpired prior to this. We don't know exactly what went on down the road behind us in this truck, in this video. But you can see it all, and I'm pretty sure that this truck in front, brake checking the other one, was just trying to get that guy's reaction, did not intend for an accident to happen. But usually when this kind of stuff happens, bad things happen. We're lucky this truck didn't get turned sideways in a pit maneuver and create a rollover situation and somebody get killed.
Yeah.
Man, right. just you know, I'm watching that video online here, and it's absolutely crazy. I mean, you just don't think about that. You're out there driving the truck. We don't know, as David, as you said, what happened back there, but something along the line, somebody got upset, does the brake check. Unfortunately, right in front of our truck, right, the big truck right there going, we see it on the camera, and it hits it. And David, could have turned out so much worse.
Oh, absolutely, especially when you hit the tail of a vehicle like that. It creates what they call a pit maneuver, and it causes the vehicle to lose control on purpose. And or even in an accident like that, it can cause that vehicle to spin out and or get sideways in front of the truck, and you could actually have a truck flipping a truck in front of another one and getting it out of control, and it can get way. That's how serious these things can be, and that's how important it is not to brake check. That is an aggressive maneuver intent with it, even though you may not intend anybody to get hurt. As you can see, the result could be disastrous.
Yeah, make sure that when you're out there, listen, things are going to happen. You're going to have a bad day. You're going to have it with your spouse, at your job, you know, maybe out there on the road, just, you know, angry. You're just upset. It's hot, whatever. You have no AC. At some time, whether you're driving a truck, a big truck, or a four-wheeler, sometimes you just have to get off that road. If you're at that point that you're going to make a bad decision like we saw there, you've just got to get off the road, get yourself out of that situation. It's not worth it, I promise you. We'll see you tomorrow. Thank you for joining us here at BCB Live. Tomorrow, Drive Safe Day, we have another interview. We have lots of news, and we have some more amazing stats coming from Drive Safe Dave on breaking news. See you tomorrow.